All right, what's going on, everybody? It's the Arty 84 show live here from our locations for the time being. That's what I said when we had to curve the curve 2 weeks, right? Um, remember that old gag last March? As always, Adam the Mallet to the left of me, and this is episode 180. We're almost at 200. That's fucking wild. Yeah. We'll hit the deuce in the summertime sometime.
The deuce.
And we didn't have any guests scheduled for tonight, but of course our old standby Casey G, aka Armanis, you know his name. He'll be joining us in a little bit.
So in other words, you just don't feel like talking today because Casey just fucking goes.
He goes.
It's great. It's great, but like he just fucking goes.
I want to get Casey's perspective on a few things, including this oil crisis we're going on right now. That's kind of wild. So I want to know what he thinks of it. We also put the link for our Zoom in the Facebook description. So if you want to join us, you can, if you like, you could just pop into the old waiting room and we could bring you on maybe. Maybe we won't, depending on. Maybe we'll just have a mystery guest to come on real quick and shoot this shit with us. Like Kevin Garnett said, anything is possible. And that's true. Where do you want to start? We weren't on last week because it was Cinco de Mayo. And so it was, we were on 2 weeks. So it's been 2 weeks since we've been on.
Do we want to start the football schedule?
Yeah, so the schedule so we got the schedule this afternoon. Of course, the leak started around, I think yesterday afternoon with the week 1 leak came out. And
that's worse than last year. I feel like last year around this time at night, we had most of it, but not all of it really yet. Yeah. And today it was like...
I feel like it's remember when they used to make the big deal and they used to have the show. I don't know if they even still have the show on NFL Network where the schedule release show where they go over all the teams and stuff. That was, I remember back in like 2017 when we went to New Orleans that April. We were watching the show and that's when we booked the flight and everything. But I feel like I think either the NFL is getting sloppy or people who work for these franchises are getting paid to release the schedule to leak it out a little bit, because the paper I showed you today, which it's the paper that goes on the NFL website, basically, but it has like confidential written on it, like it's for like the old, So maybe the NFL is just leaking it themselves, perhaps. Maybe they
I think it's intentional. I really do. I mean, if the NFL is able to not allow, like, because you know how like before the Super Bowl, they obviously like last year they would have printed Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victor,
Yeah.
They would have printed those shirts. And if those shirts are never getting out to the public, that's pretty amazing. You know how they go to kids in Africa or whatever? But the fact that none of that shit ever gets circulated here, they can do that, but they can't control their schedule. Bullshit,
Yeah. And it's like, it doesn't take rocket scientists or be a rocket scientist to figure out most of the schedule. Because all you got to do, I'm looking at the schedule right now, all you got to do is break down like your division teams. You get 2 games out of that, and you can kind of, cancel out and cross examination. But we got the Pats schedule probably around like lunchtime today. I found it leaked on the internet, and I'm looking at it right now. It looks it's exactly what it thought. Times and everything. I was told, all right, in the office, we what was the prediction? 11-7 or 11-6? 11-6, right? I don't know. It's a tough schedule.
It is. There's obviously going to be games in that they should win and don't. That happens.
And there's going to be games they should have lost, but won.
Yeah.
Too,
I think
as well.
A lot of these teams, I'm trying to go by just going down the list, like who is improved and who's not even wins or losses. I'm just looking at the teams that are playing and if they've improved. So starting with the Dolphins, they've improved.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, they have.
Jets have improved. Saints haven't. Buccaneers are still better.
The same. Yep.
Texans, they're worse.
Yep.
Probably. Cowboys,
I think, dropped a ball.
Yeah, probably dropped. Jets again, they're better.
Yep.
Chargers, they finally got rid of that fucking coach. I would say a little better, maybe.
And you get that new quarterback too. What's his face?
And he had a good rookie year, so he might be stronger.
Is his name Hoyt? What the hell's his last name? It's like.
Why do I forget it? He's a gunslinger though. He's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Chargers. It is Herb. Is it Herbert?
Yeah, Herbert. I think
Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think he's gonna do good. another sophomore
Still
year.
improved. Panthers not improved.
Yep.
Browns maybe
Playoff team last year. I mean, they're still a good team.
Yeah.
Falcons are a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I worry about the Titans because they always play the Patriots hard now because Vrabel's their coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Bills are tough. They're going to be tough too. So
the first time we play the Bills is on Monday night in November. So we don't see December rather. We don't see the Bills till December. That's a long time to go about seeing a divisional team. And then you get a bye right after that. And then we see the Bills like 2 weeks later. So in month of December, we have 1, 2, 3 games, and 2 of them are against the Bills.
They do have that late bye though. That's always good.
Yeah, late bye is good. You know, typically the week 10 was always a good spot. It looks like the week 14 for the bye this year.
Between December 6th and December 18th.
Yeah, so that's a good spot. Especially when you're getting into the playoff and you can start resting up guys and figuring out what the hell you're gonna do. You know, that's situation. But then it looks it's tough because they get the Bills on Monday night, they get a bye. Then they get Indy, which should be a pretty easy game.
Yeah.
And then you have the Bills again, which I think we both agree that they might split that series.
Yeah,
I would think.
somehow.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, nobody knows.
Jacksonville, fuck knows. Who knows? T.U. could be playing quarterback by the time that game's over.
Yeah, who knows what's going on with them? And then Miami again.
Yeah, at Miami. Oof.
Yeah,
you know, it's how it goes to like January 9th this year. So we're going an extra week into January. So I would imagine they're getting rid of that bye week between the Super Bowl. Unless they're doing what they were planning on doing in the first place, moving the Super Bowl up a week. So so the next day is what do you call it? President's Day.
Didn't they get rid of a preseason game too?
Yeah, so they got rid of a preseason game. So I thought they were going to just move the season up before, but they don't want to start it before Labor Day because that's when college football starts, Labor Day weekend. So they're moving everything to the week after Labor Day, which is typical when they usually do start. But the extra week is being added at the end. So they're either starting the playoffs. I mean, they're either going to move the Super Bowl a week and keep the 2 week, and they keep the 1 week bye, or they're not having the 1 week bye and probably doing the Pro Bowl the week after. So I guess you could probably Google when the Super Bowl is this year or next year, I should say. But I know the NFL has been striving for the pushing the Super Bowl to the Sunday before President's Day, which would be like the third Sunday in February, so that they could have the next day off, so people could take it as a holiday, essentially, which would make sense because you figure a lot of people have that day off anyways, and if it's not, it's a half day or a lazy day, and what better day to have it than after the Super Bowl, you know? In my opinion, of course. But, yeah. I didn't get a chance to look at some of the other teams. There's a lot, I mean, the other schedules for teams, but we're very far away, very, very far away from this season starting. I mean, 4 months, so anything can happen. Who knows? We'll be having this conversation in 6 months, and who knows what the quarterback's going to be for the Patriots at this point, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
Anyone. But
the
schedule released, either the NFL just dropped the ball or they don't make a big deal about it anymore, which I remember they used to make such a big deal about it. I could never understand why. It was like a big thing. Oh, the schedule's coming out, even though we already know who the opponents are by the day of the Super Bowl.
They just want to pump everything up to get attention, you know?
Yeah,
it's marketing.
Because you get the combines in March, and then you get the draft in April, and then you get scheduled talk in May, and then you get what do you call it? The practice and starting in June. So I guess they're trying to keep themselves relevant all through all the months of the year, you know. But the Super Bowl's in LA this year, isn't it? I think that's where it is.
I think so.
Yeah. Let me actually look up where the Super Bowl. Let's see. So I could see if they're gonna move it. They might change that for next year. Super Bowl 20. So it'd be technically 2022. Whoops. Not 2032.
Actually, this oil thing isn't that big of a deal. It's an issue, not really a problem. I was just reading about it, actually. We'll get to that later, though. Sorry, I'm drifting.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an issue. So it doesn't look like there's an actual date for the Super. Yes, 12/13. So they moved the Super Bowl back a week.
Okay.
So let's see when President's Day 2020 is. See if that works out for that President's Day 2022. That's the week after. Okay, so they haven't quite got to the point where they want to, but they are pushing for eventually 18 games in a season. You know that. Like 17 was a big. They slipped that into the Players Union, but I think eventually they want to play 18, and they'll push the Super Bowl exactly right where they want it to be. But I heard it was like 18 weeks of 2 buys, though. Would you like that? Would you watch an extra week of football if they had 2 buys? So you still 17 games, but you have 2 weeks off during the season.
And I think it's great if your team is kind of in a hunt, build some suspense. But if your team sucks, you
just prolong it. Like if the Pats had week 4 off and say week 14 off, but there's football on those days that they're off. You know what I mean? So the NFL, I think, sees it as having an extra day of football, even though your team may not necessarily be playing twice. That would be an interesting concept. I've seen that one thrown around a few times because the players really don't want to play 18 games, but the NFL wants to have an extra week, I guess you could say, so they could just throw a buy-in, for your teams.
How much better? I mean, I don't think this year is really the year either. I expect them to be maybe 2 games better than they were last year, the Patriots, maybe 3, but I feel like not this season, but the season after this one will be the year they're improved drastically. I just don't see it this year still.
Well, it all depends how the quarterback situation works out too, because if Jones gets in there and he sucks and he's just a Stidham 2.0, then we're in trouble. But
remember, rookie quarterbacks have an adjustment period. Like I said, look at Peyton Manning, his first year. He sucked. Horrible. Yeah,
and I don't think Jones is going to be starting. I think you can see Cam. I think you're going to see Jones in there. It's hard to say because Belichick typically use the backup quarterback as a starter, unless the only time he sees action is if they're getting blown out or there's an injury or something, which could happen.
But be like, fuck you, I'm going Stidham.
It's nice that we don't have to play Kansas City or Denver this year or Seattle. I mean, we have a lot of tough games, but we don't have to play a lot of tough teams,
Yes, that's true. They're winnable games just against tough teams. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think the hottest games are the fucking Buffalo games. I think if we can get by Buffalo, if we could split Buffalo and Tampa, who knows what we're gonna get from Tampa? You never know. That's a wild card right there. I mean, obviously they're gonna come in hot. They're gonna be good, But even the regular season, Tampa lost a lot of easy games. And how does Belichick go against a former quarterback? Well, we don't know. He's never done this before. So, he has. I think he's played Hoyer before. I think he's destroyed Hoyer in the past. So.
Well, I mean, it's Hoyer.
Hoyer the Destroyer.
Yeah.
Yes, the gas crisis, the oil crisis we're having. I was talking to a guy who works on the oil boats that come up to the harbor, and he was telling me that we shouldn't be affected too much up here because most of our gas comes by ship.
Yes, I was going to say that's why for us it's not, but the south, it's going to be a problem.
So I didn't realize this until this situation happened that the oil and stuff that is used down south, at the airports, at Atlanta, at Charlotte and Nashville, there's an actual pipe that comes straight from the refinery in Texas. And this pipe goes all the way up to New Jersey and it has branches along the way that breaks off into different zones. And the airports get it directly from the tit. There's no transportation. Literally, they hook up the airplane nozzle and it's coming right from the teat of the Houston refineries, which is pretty impressive.
Well, regarding the hack, I will say that what a bunch of that's a problem. So I'm glad that they're alerted to it.
Yeah,
they broke into our infrastructure. But their name is Darkside. The name of the group that did it. Bunch of fucking nerds.
They apologized. You see?
What?
They said they're sorry.
But Darkside is the name of the bad guy in fucking the DC universe.
Oh yeah.
Bunch of fucking nerds. Yeah, you fucking hide behind your computers and your fucking pocket protector.
So they said they apologized and said sorry if this caused anyone harm, but we're just looking for some money. And I guess it's somewhere around
ransomware.
Yeah, it's 200 million they're looking for or something like that.
Well, remember, this is the kind of shit I was telling you about. That's funny that this happened, and I was telling you several days before, some of the problems they're facing with crypto and the crypto universe is with ransomware because I could tell you, I want this amount of money in Bitcoin, take that Bitcoin, transfer it to another cryptocurrency, and you'll never fucking find out who the hell I am.
Just disappears into the abyss.
Just disappears. And then get the cash.
Yeah.
You know?
He's cashing the cash at the end.
Yeah.
It's almost like money laundering to a point. You can almost launder money using Bitcoin. I never really thought about that. It's actually very interesting. But the risk you have laundering money with Bitcoin is the fact that there's a variable rate to the Bitcoin. So you could potentially lose money in the launder if you don't make the transaction fast enough.
Yeah, you have to do it really fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you could gain money from the loss. So
there's another cryptocurrency which mimics the US dollar, which is like Tether, which is you could just transfer to that, which is $1, and then transfer to your account.
But don't they have to, wouldn't it be a trail from your bank account to the initial crypto conversion?
Well, that's the crypto. Yes, there would be, but then it'd be wiped out once it, I'm speaking out of school here. This is getting way too much for me. All I know is there are things that exist where you could transfer it to another to Bitcoin. You could, and then you lose the trail though at Bitcoin once you put it to another.
So someone would have to pay you in the Bitcoin initially, because if I got Bitcoin, say I owed someone $1,000, right? Now they wanted me to pay in Bitcoin, I would have to take $1,000 out of my account into, like, say, Robinhood and turn that to Bitcoin.
That's traceable.
So that's the only way you could trace it. But if I just had a bunch of Bitcoin and I paid you with the Bitcoin, and then you transfer it out, then there'd be no trail, I guess. Interesting. So what do you think's gonna happen?
Well, I don't even know what's happening with these people, these fucking darkseed nerds.
I heard they're like an Eastern European group of shenanigans people.
Well, I mean, it's just a vicious cycle, because what's going to happen now is it's great that now they've identified a flaw in our fucking infrastructure and can patch that up, the defense teams, right?
Yeah.
But then it's just shit like this is just going to keep happening, and then it's just a constant circle of hack, we fix, Well, they took the gas,
it's a test, I think, because they could easily get into our electrical system. You see what happened when a storm hit the electrical system in Texas. It took out half the state from a natural disaster. And Texas is on their own grid. I learned a lot these last few months. I didn't realize Texas had their own grid, and then there was an east-west separation. But the Texas grid doesn't talk to the east-west United States grid because it's not the same system. So you can't borrow electricity from, like, the main grid to Texas because of the way it's set up, which seems a little odd to me that a state would do that and not, like, branch out. But I guess anything is possible.
There's probably some bullshit politics behind it with money. There's something to do. Everything boils down to money, politics, and shit, handshakes and bullshit. And checks,
I think it has to. I think Texas likes the ability to, like, any day could just pull out of the United States and become their own country again. That might be it too. Like, they might, like, have, like, everything on standby. So, like, if the shit ever goes down, they could just be like, "Whoops, peace out, Cub Scout." I did read, though, there's something in the Constitution of Texas that says they can't split their state up. So apparently during the Civil War, they sided with the South to be a slave state. And by doing so, when they became an official state after they, were annexed to us, they, in the agreement, says the state cannot be broken up into any pieces because of the situation. And it's like in their constitution. So you could never ever see Texas get split up. And why you've never seen Texas get split up into many smaller states. But I think it's a very technical thing that could probably always be worked around.
Pretty sure, though, if there was another civil war that broke out, the North would still fucking wreck them. All the technology's up here,
Dude, all the technology's up there, but we all have, like, these wimpy ass, like, snowflake liberals too.
True.
Who probably wouldn't want to fight, but I can guarantee I can get you a good old boy from South Carolina that's ready and willing to fucking get into some nitty gritty action.
Yeah, but how many nitty gritty people do we need up north, and we can just fucking hit a button to put a missile down your chimney from up here?
That is true. Have you seen any of the footage from the Israel Palestine thing that's going on right now?
I saw some photos. Yeah.
Those anti-defense missiles are fucking crazy. There's at the night sky, you could see the missiles coming in, and you just see these flares. They go up, and they're blowing the missiles up in the sky.
I remember when the Gulf War happened. They used to televise that shit. Remember that when we were little?
Yeah, and that was like 30 years ago too. It's like, and now it's like in HD, like high definition. They showed the building get collapsed. They seen that a missile hit a building like head on, and the whole friggin' building just fell down.
Fucked up. It's like, to us, it's like kind of entertaining to watch. You hear the sirens, you see the air raid go off, and it's like, imagine how fucking terrifying it must
God,
be.
how do you sleep? You know what I mean?
To be there, I'd be fucking freaking out.
I had anxiety just watching that, just thinking like, holy shit. So what the hell are you gonna, like, you stay up all night just watching, making sure a missile doesn't hit your house?
People fucking live in that. It's scary.
They've been fighting for thousands of years, and they still haven't fucking came to a resolution yet. This one is
it can't last too much longer.
So this, yeah.
All right, Zohan.
This is basically like, well, you know how we fought, the United States fought in Vietnam because they were really fighting like the Chinese.
Communism.
Yeah, so like the Chinese were helping the Genghis Khan. So we were fighting the Chinese without actually fighting the Chinese, like in Korea, in Vietnam, and like Afghanistan, when we had troops there, we were really fighting the Russians, but we're fighting in Afghanistan. You know what I mean? So this is like Iran is supplying Palestine all the missiles. So we're really fighting Iran without actually fighting Iran, kind of thing. But
well, it's funny. Vietnam. The Russians had, you're talking about Afghanistan, because the Russians had their version of Vietnam, which is pretty much Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to fucking idiots.
Which is fucked because we gave the Afghans all the military equipment to fight the Russians with.
Yeah.
They ended up using on us 20 years later when we went there to invade Afghanistan after 9/11. So,
dude, when you're fighting people that live in caves and don't give a fuck, you're gonna lose. Like, they know the land, they know fucking everything. The Russians, it was like the late 70s. They spent like a decade, the Russians, just fucking nothing.
Oh yeah, camel fuck us. You gonna give them a guy who lives in a cave, fucking the ability to beat you in a war. It's not gonna happen.
No.
But then again, Soviet technology isn't exactly what I call up to par. You know what I mean? I would be terrified to go into a Russian airplane.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, they we were talking about this before. They like things bigger. I will give them that. They'll always have things bigger than us, but that doesn't mean better. It'll be shit that breaks. It's fucking doesn't make any sense, but it's massive. I
don't know what it is about anything I see coming from Russia. I'm very, very concerned about the ability for it to withstand, use.
Yeah.
Very nervous.
I want to see what that Sputnik vaccine does.
Well, yeah, just look at like when they had a space station Mirror, right? Like that was like a very rugged space station, right? It was nothing like, it looked like it was put together in someone's like garage.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Nobody died.
No, thankfully, yes. I remember. Do you remember the Armageddon when they blow up the space station?
Oh yeah.
Because the space shuttles had to escape because there was a missile, like loose missile.
I remember. Yeah.
The fucking asteroids coming towards it. And then the Russian guy was sitting on the nuclear bomb.
Did you know that part of the NASA training is actually to watch that movie to identify how many untrue things are in that movie? It's it's in the several hundreds.
Oh, I would imagine. It's
not accurate at all.
There's a YouTube show called 47, the 47 Group, and he's a pilot. And what he does is he goes and breaks down airline movies and gets the reality if it could actually be done, if it's fake, and all that good stuff. So he did he's done several movies. He's done the movie Flight, when Denzel flies the plane upside down. And I guess that's actually based on a true story. A plane was flying, I guess, from Seattle to Alaska, and they lost the same stabilizers that plane lost, and the plane actually did invert. And the pilot was trying to do the maneuver that Denzel did in the movie, but he never actually got the plane back around again. So that was kind of like, it was based on that story. Like the guy got it upside down to keep it steady, and then he tried to flip it again, and he lost both engines, and the plane ended up crashing. And then there was like, what's the movie with fucking Con Air? That whole situation.
Nicolas Cage? Oh, yeah. God.
It's an interesting, it's not all he does, but every once in a while he does a movie reality check, and he goes through the entire thing and tells you what you should be seeing, what's wrong with it, what's Hollywood, what's not. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, so on that note, we should bring in Armanis Ar-Feinial.
I got to send you the link to, remember we were talking about Tom Green?
Oh, yeah. I
got to send you the link to his channel, because like I said, he just travels now in an RV.
He's on YouTube?
Yeah, I'll send you the link to his channel later when we get off the air.
Ladies,
I haven't watched it yet. I just know that's what he does.
ladies and gentlemen, the longest going guest of the show,
Hey!
Ar-Feinial,
Back on the deck.
a.k.a. KCG.
Well, because Eric's not here because he's been dead for, 6 months?
He has been dead. So, I guess he's with us in spirit and soul.
Yeah.
I like that I see you on the deck because that means summer is near.
Yep.
And, you can actually enjoy the outside air, which is great because it's been very depressing.
It was very great. Went for a jog on Monday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Casey, have they told you to go back to work yet, or are you still working from home?
We're still working from home. So, funny thing is, previous callback date was going to be like June 1st. That was the most latest one.
Yeah.
And now they're saying, well, no, the executive team can come back. The administrative team. So that's going to be the chief officers. We have a ton of chief officers. I really don't know why all that's necessary. But chief officers, vice presidents, some of them are necessary.
Yeah.
Now, we have a chief humans officer, which just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever why we have one.
A chief human officer? What do they do? They're
basically, think of it as the
humans?
CEO of the Human Resources Department.
I see. So they're just like giving titles to people, basically.
That's kind of like what it feels like. Just like that's just something that doesn't really seem all that necessary to me. But
it's very unnecessary. Seems like a waste of money.
They seem to think it's necessary.
Yeah.
So now they're talking about the workforce coming back as a whole on September. A little caveat is it could be some are going to be permanently from home. There may be some hybrid workers, and there may be some full-time staff in the office.
Let me ask you a question. Are you very saddened by the fact that you may have to go back to an office at some point? I know you hate people, and I know you love working.
I do hate people. And my job involves talking to people.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. I know, and you were a servant for a while.
Different people a day.
Yes, every time I can't go past a serial killer documentary on Netflix without thinking of the time you told customers your name was John Wayne Gacy.
No, I never said John Wayne Gacy. I said Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy. Did you?
Ted Bundy.
Yes, that's right. It was Ted Bundy.
Yeah. There are some people who went there who only know me as Ted Bundy.
It's just frightening.
It was funny. I was like waiting tables one day, and somebody shouted Ted Bundy from across the bar to try to get my attention. Of course, I ignored them because that wasn't my name.
Yeah.
But it was funny.
I hate people too, but I'll quote Randall from Clerks when he said, I hate people, but I love parties. Yeah, it's true. I'm kind of the same way. I think because parties, everyone's just kind of dropping, what all the crap that they hold in, and everyone's just trying to have a good time, and that's why. But that's definitely me. I hate people. I love parties.
Most people suck.
See, I hate people, and I equally hate parties.
So you just want to be a life in solitude.
Love strip clubs, though. Coincidentally.
I mean, it's usually you and Marvin who is attempting to drag me into strip clubs. And then you had Dave Jordan trying to get me hammered on one softball trip.
That's true.
And he also failed at that.
Do you, when strip clubs reopen in 2 weeks, will you be willing to come with Adam and I? We'll take you out and we'll get you back out into the nature.
You see, I'm more likely to bring with me a blowtorch and, light the oil drums on fire in the back.
Okay.
Of said strip clubs.
Do strippers have to wear masks? That would just take me out
of it. No, I think they dance behind a plexiglass wall.
Oh, it's horrible.
So from the video footage I've seen from the strip clubs, and because Rhode Island never actually closed, the strip clubs stayed open, and they have this like on Instagram. One of the strip clubs they post pictures, and it's like a plexiglass like wall around the dance floor, and the girls are just dancing, but all the dudes in the strip club all have masks on. It's like fucking bizarre.
So it's like a gigantic nudie booth.
Yeah, it's like a peep show. Yeah.
Oh, it's fucked. I don't like it. Sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get their legs. And sometimes they'll go and put their legs on you.
Oh, the cleavage that like put your head in their boobs and shit. Yeah.
None of that.
And of course, I know absolutely nothing about this.
I know. Unfortunately, you're missing all the fruits of life.
Not that I'm a frequent, but still, I mean, when I go, I want bang for my buck. You know?
Exactly. You know, what do you think all those girls are doing? Like, they got to be working. Like, do you think they're just sitting around the house?
Arty, I know exactly where they are. They're at the hotel next to Margaritas.
That is true. Although, yeah, I mean, yeah. I wonder what's the protocol of if a lady of the night, like an escort, do you have to wear a mask? Like, how do they work that? Like, is their health? You have to go through the health book and make sure do they take your temperature before you come up to the room?
I'm thinking their need for money just gets rid of any care of that. Right?
Yeah.
They just need money so bad. They're a living vending machine. That's what I call them.
Be an interesting situation.
Oh, or an STD vending machine, kind of like Arty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you want chlamydia? Press 1. Press 2. Do you want syphilis? This button.
Yeah, I would think that's basically a big affair than anything that possibly could come of the virus that may or may not exist. Casey, have you been vaccinated? That's the question. Everyone's dying to know.
That's the question.
Yes.
All right. I'm partially vaccinated.
So you got your first shot.
First shot, second shot's in 2.5 weeks.
Okay. I took you as a non-vaxxer.
I mean, I don't typically like getting the flu shot because I never get sick anyways.
Yeah. See, that's my reason for not getting the COVID shot, because I don't get the flu shot and I never got sick, and as far as I know, I didn't have the COVID.
Never get the flu shot, but I got COVID.
Yeah, well, you got it. But you got it though. Don't you think you're all right though because of the you have the antibodies?
Like the natural immunity only lasts so long.
That we know. How do we know?
I mean that we know. I mean we do have like some guy who's
they know it doesn't last so long.
Who's actually been he got it like 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And he never he's alive. He never really had to go to oxygen or anything.
Yeah.
Still has some of the symptoms, some of the minor symptoms from it. I think he's the fatigue. And then my aunt got something really, really interesting. So she got it when the rest of us got it. And I have a big family. With approximately 30 of us got it within the course of 2 months.
Yeah.
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you, other uncle. Yeah, so she got it. She recovered probably about the same time that we all did. And about January-ish, she didn't have a relapse, but one of the symptoms kicked back in, and she hasn't quite recovered from that yet. And it's an interesting symptom. It's not a bad symptom to have. It's just everything tastes horrible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, some people are getting that. Something similar to that.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, it's like they're very small. There's a small number of things that she can have without, having the urge to throw it back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's tough.
Basically, the sense of smell and the sense of taste is just shot.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the worst symptom to have. It's not really ideal.
You can't imagine not having the sense of smell or taste, for that matter. It's gonna be very bizarre to me.
I always wanted to be with a girl who had no sense of smell, so I could just fart all the time and she wouldn't even know. That's like the dream right there. Because I get gassy in the morning, It's
yeah.
And
you can smell your sweaty balls after a night of relations.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Casey, you know what I'm talking about?
I mean, that's when you just blame it on the dead dog in the kitchen.
That's right. Or the dead friend that's been living in your house for 6 months.
You need to be thinking of those things. You need to be thinking outside the box. Okay?
Oh, I could see that one going over very well. If Adam was there's a dead dog in my kitchen.
That's not my fart. It's the dead dog.
Dead dog. It's been bile decomposing.
Yeah. You got to think outside the box.
I'll try.
I'll try. Casey, have you been directly affected by the oil shortage coming up here on the East Coast?
I mean, I probably have. I did refill my van recently. I really wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
The gas prices, so
Well, the gas prices are because of the guy you voted for president. Just so you know that.
Let's not talk about that right now. But the fact of the matter is, I bet, even if it isn't a
joke, he's a hardcore Republican. It's a joke.
But
yeah.
like the thing is, like, even if there isn't a shortage here, they're still gonna say there is to use it as an excuse to hike prices. You realize that too, right?
Well, that's even more. I mean, the gas went up $1 in 4 months. Yeah. Now it's like, even more. You know, because of who Casey voted for president, right, Casey?
I mean, I did vote for him. I'm not going to lie. I also voted for the last election.
Oh, so you like gas prices being high?
I mean, honestly, Biden hasn't done too horrible, really. Yet. He hasn't really done anything. I will say the stance on China has been great.
He's been done good. I mean, gas prices are high. Illegal immigration's at a high. Jobs are at severe loss. The economy
is going to be a loss for a while. I mean,
no, there's a lot of jobs out there. Just no one's working. There's more jobs there's so many jobs out there. So many. Everyone's hiring.
Yeah, that's because nobody wants to work, because that's the same problem as when the Republicans had it, is because like the benefits, it has nothing to do with Democrat, Republican. Just the benefits.
The Democrats voted for the benefits. They get an extra $300 a week.
It's not so much as a party issue as much as it's an issue of people feeling safe going to work.
I don't think that's true at all. I think people are using it as an excuse. I think some people feel nervous. I think majority of people are using it as an excuse, including the teachers union being the number one people doing it. I think some people are afraid to go out in public. Some people are afraid to work. I give that to them. But I think it's only like 25% of the people.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think the majority of people are just lazy pricks who like getting a government check and not going to work.
Yeah.
So I partly agree with you. And I only partly agree with you because I grew up in Maine underneath, people who were taking advantage of that system. So I know that's there.
Oh, I know for sure.
It's always been,
there. The thing that I'm hesitant to jump upon is the fact that everybody's jumping in on that bandwagon.
I don't agree. I don't think everyone's doing it.
A majority of the people are jumping in on that bandwagon.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I don't think, but I agree with you.
Like, even if you look at the statistics of people who are voting for Biden, myself included, most of the concern wasn't foreign policy. Most of the concern wasn't necessarily for the jobs as much as it was with the COVID. Now, keeping that in mind, you do have most of that voters base probably aren't working right now.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, that's usually where they end up falling, and those are the people who have who are more concerned about going to work because of COVID.
But don't you think the people who are like fear of COVID? Don't you think the people with fear of COVID though, like a lot of them are already actually currently working though, like yourself who's working from home? Like, so if your boss made you come in, you probably wouldn't go in because if you were like afraid of it, you know what I mean? In general, I'm not saying you are.
I'd probably still go. I would just be masked up.
Do you feel like for example, like it's the jobs that are like restaurants, where it's a variable rate of what you're gonna make, or like working in retail and stuff like that, where you won't make as much money as you make on unemployment. So like, say if you work at Best Buy, but you don't necessarily have to go back to Best Buy, but you're getting paid more money not to go to Best Buy. Don't you agree that perhaps that there should be a proof of job searching, perhaps maybe, to show that you're actually looking for jobs instead of just sitting at home?
So the whole welfare thing for that, there's been a problem with that for years.
Forever, yeah.
That's getting better.
Yeah.
But you're right. I'm not a huge fan of it. Like you're making more money on unemployment than at a minimum jobs. And again, then you're opening up the conversation to a minimum wage job and what that should be. Should it stay the same? And again, it's just like part of it's a ginormous mess.
Absolutely.
So I'm pretty sure that if you asked a random Democrat, random Republican, if there's a problem with the welfare system, they're both probably going to say yes.
Yeah.
The response to fix it,
it's different.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really the point of democracy. Is you have one problem. We disagree on how to fix it.
Yeah.
You try to come up with a solution, some kind of compromise that's going to work out to what is ultimately going to be the best solution.
Exactly.
The problem that we have right now with our two-party system is that nobody's really willing to compromise on anything, either on the left hand or on the right hand side.
Yeah.
And because of the lack of compromise, nothing gets done.
Nothing. No. Yeah, no, that makes 100. It's exactly the problem. That's the point.
Well, the problem is tribalism, which isn't good. Like tribalism, people just automatically go to their side, and they don't even if the other side is right, they're not going to listen because they're so want to appease their own side, which is
the party system.
Way to think.
The party system's stupid. There should never have been parties. Like anyone could just run, and there should be no majority or minority because there's a real reason for that. Because literally, what you said, Adam, is the tribal system. You just go from one side or the other. Now, if with every person, like if you. Like for example, go to a city election, right, for a mayor. There's no Republican on one party or a Democrat. There's like 4 people running for mayor. There's a primary, and then there's 2. The 2 could both be Democrats. The 2 both could be Republicans. The 2, So when you think of something so micro, why does it have to affect, in the macro? Like, doesn't make any sense. Like, so why couldn't you just pick like 20 people decide they're gonna run for president, and you go down to 10. It doesn't matter what parties they're in. Then you go by the 2. You don't have to vote per party. Makes no sense.
I really think it's important that everybody does listen to both sides and doesn't automatically just go, yeah, to the other side. Like, it's important.
Well, the only way around that is a third party.
Like we talked about, unfortunately, nobody takes that seriously, which sucks.
Bring back the Whigs, right, Casey? Bring back the Whig party.
The Whig party?
Yeah. Do you know at one time there was called the Democratic Republican Party, and then they broke away? They were both against the Whigs.
Chris Rock actually has a bit though about all this. I remember he said once, he's like, fucking listen, like just fucking listen.
Well, they don't represent the people, anyways. They don't know. They don't know the people.
Yeah.
They have they really don't want to. It's not in their benefit to make things work. You know that. Because if they make things happen, then there's going to be nothing for not to happen. There's nothing to promise you at the end. So if you went in there and made everything happen, and then you finished, then you have nothing to accomplish.
It's always going to be a problem, though.
Yeah. Part of that, there's 2 things. One of which is the incumbent, whoever's the incumbent, usually is going to have a leg up in the election, anyways.
Yeah. Typically.
If they fix things, right, there's no problem, right?
Exactly.
So there really is no benefit at that point to even consider electing somebody else.
I don't know if that's necessarily true though, because Obama or Bush never really fixed anything, and they won their second term.
No, but what I'm saying is if they had fixed something.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they had fixed something, there isn't necessary, or if they fixed, let's say they fixed all the problems as a whole, right, on their first term.
Yeah.
What would be the benefit for anyone to vote them out?
True. It's Reagan in '88. Yeah.
Because what you just vote them in for a second term. They're just going to keep everything the same. You know what to expect, and nothing's wrong. Maybe
evil,
maybe some weird things will happen here and there, but and then for 4 years, then you can just prepare for like the next election. You don't really have to worry about anything. And then the second term, or vice versa, if everything's fixed, vote somebody new in to get the old guy out because there's nothing for them to promise anymore. And then now you potentially have that person, just overrunning everything what the previous person did.
So that was Reagan
unnecessarily early.
That was Reagan in '88 because he killed everything, and the '84 election. So it was Reagan were 80, 84, and 88. No, 88 was Bush Senior. So 80, he finished everything. In the '84 election, he won every single state except for Minnesota and Washington, D.C. I'm pretty sure it was the '84 election. But so then he does everything great. So who do they reelect? When he's done, they bring in the vice president, which was Bush Senior, who they figure was the same administration. And then he ran that to the ground. So yes, I see what you're saying. So, and I guess that makes good sense because Obama and Bush Jr. didn't really do much that they accomplished. So that's why those races were tight when they went for their second term. So yes, all right, I see what you're saying on this. It makes sense.
The thing too is I'm going to try to explain this the best I can. Also, like you'll never be. We can all agree there's no magic wand to fix everything, right? And you have to kind of
Adam.
You have to kind of shift things to other ways. So okay, this is the current problem in our country, trends. So all right, we have to fix this. Let's fix this. But now maybe we have to take away from this and increase taxes to fix this. There's no all-around solution to fix everything because you have to adapt to what might be going on at that time. And it's going to piss somebody off.
Why do you think the states are responsible for balance of budget? So a state can't have a deficit. A state can't finish their budget in negative numbers. It's against a statehood. The government could take over the state and not become a state anymore. It's against their constitution. So at the end of the year, a state has to balance their budget regardless. Why doesn't the federal government have to balance their budget?
Because they can't agree on anything.
Well, exactly. Well, that's part of it too.
Yeah, that's part of it. And then there's just whereas like the state will typically fund like the National Guard, the Air National Guard, whereas federal government still has to fund a vast majority of the military, which is not, it's not like going to the pawn shop.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a significant amount of our budget. There's a lot, not just necessarily the personnel, like paying personnel and their benefits and whatever, but all the equipment that's involved in that, and traveling and things like that. And like a significant part of it is the poor management of funds and budgeting that Congress is not equipped to do. So what do when they don't match? They just raise the debt ceiling up and up and up. We've seen it multiple times. We've seen it recently.
It's been going for our entire lives. It's like having a kid with a credit card. When you turn 18 years old, you remember you get your first credit card and you're like, I'll buy this and I'll buy this. And then you just keep on buying shit. Next thing you know, you have 6 credit cards. They're all maxed out and you're like sitting there at 40s and what the fuck can I do?
I think part of the problem with that too, Arty, is the government balancing its budget is also it might reveal certain things in black budget projects, like certain things they don't want us to know about.
Oh, that's true. Stuff.
But,
like the microchips that you both have in your arms right now. Like, we don't want to know about that. What's that going to come up on the inventory list?
Hey, question.
What those UFOs they're building?
Is that more invasive, or what about the thing I carry around in my pocket?
What's that? You carry it in your pocket? Oh, prep? Do you prep up?
Oh, I carry a GPS.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Track me at any time.
That's true.
Even with that, I mean, Alexa, even anything, your phone, your TV's listening now too. Everything. Fucking, you can't escape it.
I hope that we make the radar on some kind of like national watch list so we can get some ratings up here on the show.
Like we say some trigger word that's like embedded in their code. Like we say a word and they're like, they said that word. Like if I'm like Operation Condor, all of a sudden it's picked up somewhere and they're like, how do they know about Operation Condor?
Arty, you're gonna have people like wearing like black suits and masks, just storming your house.
Yeah, I'll have an SUV in front of my house. It's like when you go to like Area 51 and see the black SUVs just Casey, one time I was driving through the Nevada desert through Area 51, like through like the road that travels in front of it, and the black SUV thing is not a lie. It's true. They do. You see black SUVs like occasionally like just parked like out of nowhere, and I don't know if it's intimidation. Remember when they did that storm Area 51 thing? And we went to it. It was like the gate. It's just a military base basically. But like, is there anything going on there? We don't know. Will we ever know? Probably not.
I think it's a decoy. I think they want you to think that. I think there's a definite real Area 51 equivalent of what has that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I don't believe it is Area 51.
I agree. We don't know where it is. I think it's somewhere in the Utah desert. And the only reason I say that is because NASA has a base out there, and that's where they launch or land a lot of the satellites and rockets that don't go out of like Florida. They do it all in like the middle of like the middle of nowhere in Utah. Possibly. I don't know. That'd be nice to find out though. When one of us becomes president and we get some clearance, we should all make a vow that we let each other know into the inner secrets of the secrets of the aliens. Casey, how do you feel like now the government has been releasing like information that like aliens exist and stuff like that? What do you think the reasoning behind that?
Are UFOs? They don't know what they are.
UFOs.
UFOs.
I'm not really paying attention to them.
So, do you think there's any like hidden reason why they're kind of leaking this information or letting us know, or do you think it's like, are they giving us a little like sample because something bad is about to happen by UFO invasions?
Well, you see, the thing is, I ended up seeing one of them and I discounted it as complete bogus, like one of the recent photos.
Yep.
And the reason is like one of the photos, like the quality the quality of said photo, you know, if you paired them back with all those miscellaneous UFO sightings that were happening in like
this is my world, Casey. You don't know shit. Okay.
The quality of the photo was the same.
There's videos. I don't know. You're looking at one photo. There's like fucking 5 videos that have been released within the last 2 years of actual military exercises of them catching things on video. Like, these are videos that have been declassified. They're not like some Joe Schmo with like a camera. They are like actual. You can hear the pilots talking. You can hear like actual things going on, and numerous eyewitness accounts.
Yeah.
Numerous people on ships. Like, they're not like some, you know, back in the days, people would thought these people were kind of Looney Tunes. These are actually credible people, pilots, military personnel. It's gone shit bananas. But what pisses me off and why I've been angry all day about this, because I was listening to Joe Rogan today. You had Christopher Mellon, who is the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense, who was on Joe Rogan basically talking about this, and nobody gives a fuck. And I'm like, this is a big fucking deal. You have these things that are in our airspace. We don't know what they are. There's one of only 3 possibilities. Either 1, aliens. 2, we are centuries, not decades, centuries ahead, realistically, of the current technology that we think we have but don't. Or 3, another country has the drop on us and we don't know it yet. It's got to be either one of those 3. It has to be. There's no other explanation. And all 3 of those, if the question gets answered for either 3 of those, it only more questions.
Scary.
Fucked.
Which one would you rather? Would you rather the technology, the aliens, or the foreign countries?
All 3 of them are fucked.
True. I mean, I think I'd feel a little bit better if it was modern technology that we didn't have yet, that we did.
That might be worse, because then it's like, okay, that means these things can do things that can like move at speeds that are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, that means why am I still paying an electric bill? Why isn't there a cure for this? Why are we still using gas? And the answer is money. And that's going to piss people off.
I've talked to a lot of pilots over my years working on the bar with pilots that come in, and some of them have said they've seen shit out there that they don't actually quite share off the record.
Nobody fucking cares. Everybody just wants to watch the fucking Kardashians. It pisses me off. Like, it's just a big deal.
That's the key starts tonight, just so you guys know.
Sorry.
I mean,
got that out. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
No, but a Kardashian might be the governor of California. How do you feel about that, Casey?
It's not my state. I don't care. It's already on fire anyways.
Do you have you heard any of Caitlyn / Bruce Jenner's, I guess you guys call him Caitlyn now, his ideas as governor?
Not really.
It's actually
all was his, her, or its stance on not voting in this year's election.
Yeah, it's
it was, there was nothing to vote for, is basically, which is how I felt during the last election.
Yeah.
There was nothing to vote for. You know, you had your pick, Satan or the Antichrist.
Yeah.
And pick your choice. Both were bad.
Doesn't that bother you that we're such a country of such smart, interesting, and forward thinking people that at the end of the day you just get 2 retards to be you're like, I know I mean retard in like the derogatory sense. I mean like people
part of the problem is not that we have retards running for president. The problem is that we have retards voting those retards for president.
Wow.
Geriatrics.
For the primaries. So like,
what do we do about this?
If you were to look at the last election, they were both pitted against the only candidate they had a chance of beating.
Yeah.
True. Like if it was like anybody else, like if it was Trump against anybody else, that Trump would have lost. If it was Hillary against anybody else, she definitely would have lost. She lost anyway, but
doesn't it suck that like we need like a renaissance, like when Kennedy ran back in like 1960? Like you need a young guy, like someone in there, I wouldn't say someone like a 40-year-old guy or girl, to go against the old timer. Like when Kennedy won, he beat Nixon, right? Nixon was an old, run down old politician, and Kennedy kicked his ass because he was just a young guy. He had so much charisma. He loved having sex with supermodels. It was like he was like a cocksmith All the ladies loved him. All the ladies voted for him because he was so good looking, and all the guys voted for him because they could relate to him. Like that, don't you think we need a candidate, regardless of what party, to be like that the next guy?
Shake up. We need to shake
And
up.
someone like in the middle too, like a moderate, someone who's doesn't matter what side they're on, but someone who can kind of see both sides of the aisle. Don't you think we need that, Casey?
We need that. The problem is it's not popular. It's not a popular stance.
I'm running for president. I'm a guy in the middle. I'm willing to do whatever. Vote for me. I hit all the qualifications. I'm over 30 years old. I'm an American citizen. 35.
Fuck you. I'm running for president. You can be my vice president, but I'm fucking running.
Casey, what would you like to be secretary of? A good time? Just responsible. Making sure everyone. You can be the communications secretary because you love talking to people. So we can figure we can put you in charge of talking to everyone. You can be my the press secretary.
Like press secretary.
Like Saki. You can pitch
there
you.
There will be a lot of sarcasm.
Well, I mean, there is now. If you haven't seen any of the press conferences, there's a lot of sarcasm.
There'll be a lot more sarcasm.
What do you if you were gonna rank how hot you think Jen Psaki is on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give her? 10 being the best.
I don't even know who that is.
She's the redhead that does all the talking for Biden during the daily thing. She's a ginger. She has no soul.
I don't know who that is.
No. All right, Casey, you're the worst person to ask on this level of.
Yeah, I'm the worst person to ask on a lot of things.
I think she's better than who's the one that looked like Sloth from the Goonies that Trump had for a little while?
Yeah, fucking.
God,
Sanders.
Yeah, Huckabee Sanders. Yeah, Sarah Huckabee Sanders kind of looked like Sloth from the Goonies. Hey, you guys. Hey. She didn't talk like that though, but.
It took up like almost a whole hour on like just getting heated. It was good.
Trump did like redo himself though, because the last one he had, that like the blonde chick, was pretty good looking.
She was. She was.
You could say whatever she wanted. She could be saying what, blowing up the world tomorrow, and everyone would be like,
"Yeah,
you blow up that world." Casey, we made it to the entire show, and we didn't get to any of the material you're working on, but we're gonna give you the last few minutes to talk about what you have coming up. Any new material, any new books, any new stuff going on in the world of Armanis, Ar-Feinial?
You like to rent Jeff in real life? I've had this copy here for a long time, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna stick with my my anime selection.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I am actually publishing another book. It's probably coming. It's definitely coming out in the fall. I'm not sure if it's going to be ready for September or an October release.
Ooh, a nice Christmas gift from someone.
Could be. Yeah. So it is it's an urban fantasy story. It takes place primarily in Boston.
Okay.
So it takes place in our world. So it takes place in our world. The general premise is, and surprisingly, there's not many novels or movies that's on this particular topic, but it's basically about a veteran reintegrating back into civilian life.
Okay.
That's a one sentence synopsis of the story. So it's basically following how he's dealing with grief, survivor's guilt, PTSD, and chronic constant depression, where he's like always working and is attempting to work himself to death.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's an
interesting concept.
It's an interesting concept. You're not going to find anything like it. I did a Google search. I can't find anything even similar to that. Like maybe Good Will Hunting, but it's not really the same kind of story.
Where do you find the time to do all this writing? It seems like you bang out a book a year. You're like Stephen King.
The goal is, hopefully by next year, I can start making out 2 books a year.
Damn.
Yeah.
How about you do a let's see, a fiction novel about a guy like myself? But like you could make some truths out of it too. I'll give you permission to use.
Arty, I'm gonna say, Arty. I mean, you're a family man now.
I mean, you can say whatever. I mean, I don't think anything's been unturned at this point. Or everything's been unturned, I should say. I think everything's out there for the taking.
I probably could, but you'd have to pay me to do it.
It would be an interesting story, wouldn't you think, if you created a character based on myself and a
Well, like you now, or you like then?
no, like
probably him then, because
you're family man now.
I'm kind of
accidentally almost got me ran over by a 16-wheeler.
There you go. That's how the story can start. We could start in the intersection with the gas truck penning down on us, and that's when you come up with a relay. You start having flashbacks of how you got put in that situation in the first place.
The tragedy can be Eric dies.
And at the end, Eric dies. Right.
Yeah. Eric's been dead for 6 months.
Maybe that's the story. Maybe we're getting pinned down by an 18-wheeler gas truck, and Eric just died. Maybe Eric's driving the gas truck. That's gonna hit us. I'm just throwing stuff in the wall, see what's sticking here. Yeah. Spitball.
And then all of a sudden we have the inciting incident. Oh, the driver just woke up. After realizing he was parked in the middle of a two-way highway intersection.
That's right. You could find me up in a hotel room with a flight attendant on a Friday night, or
that's you every night though.
Back in the day,
it's interesting after the first couple of times, but once it's 7 days a week, nobody cares anymore.
Well, it could be 7 days a week because I didn't work 7 days a week, and I wasn't going to repair.
You didn't have to work 7 days a week. You were always there.
Casey, I can't fight the fact that the woman once found me irresistible. Before I put on the weight. And when I was a young buck, now if I don't put gel in my hair, I have gray hairs all the way around the perimeter of my head, and I'm about 10 pounds chubbier than I want to be. So, thank you for bringing me down. So when you describe my character, please do it like 10 years ago character. You know what I mean? I appreciate that.
Oh, so you don't want me to start you off with something like the monsters and demons aren't hiding in his closets or underneath his bed.
No,
he'd be very lucky if they were even that far away. No, but they're running amok inside his head.
Stop the story of me coming out of the closet, which would be an interesting twist to the story as well.
Yeah, I wonder how your wife's going to take it.
We'll find out when the novel's finished, right? Stay tuned. There's the cliffhanger right there. You're going to read the story to understand the whole thing. Casey, I appreciate you joining us last minute. You're always a good last minute guy to come on, and you're very entertaining. We do enjoy your perspective on things going on. Where can we find your current novels? Where do we go? It's on Amazon, right?
Current novel, you can definitely get everything on Amazon. You just search my name. If you have a hard time spelling it, it's right under there on my screen. Yeah. On the left or right-hand side, yes. Depending. Could be the left-hand side. I don't know. I'm not a technology expert.
I had a name. It would be Sheldon Kunk.
Yep. Side note, the current books that are out are actually going to be going out of print in the nearby future.
Oh.
Reason is because they are going to be published by another publisher. Oh, so okay. If you like the covers, I would advise picking them up soon. I don't know how long those are going to be in print.
So you got to do new cover for them? Is that what you're saying?
There's going to be a new cover, new edition, which new edition. It's going to be underneath a publishing house instead of Ex Libris. So if you like the covers, I would suggest getting them now. That is, these are print on demand, which means if you buy it, it's like fresh off the press.
How many books do you have all together at this point?
3. Okay,
3. So buy them now, or
yeah, buy them now. Those are going to be very limited. As I said before, if you buy it, it's coming right off the press. So that's going to be one of the few copies that's going to be left in a rotation.
There you go. Well, fun facts. Casey, we'll have you on once you get this other book published again, probably sometime in the fall, because we'll give you a chance to sell it to all the people out there for Christmas gifts along the world.
It'll be exciting.
Awesome.
It's a tear jerker.
Oh, I'll give you a tear jerker if you know what I mean. That's what the flight attendant said to the bartender. I'll give you a tear jerker.
Yeah, because they said their hands were just so much better.
We'll leave it at that. Thank you, Casey, very much for joining us tonight.
Good to see you, Casey.
Everybody.
Adios.
Have a good one, man.
Yeah.
KCG, always entertaining and never.
Casey.
He's been on the show. I think so during this lockdown. He's been on like 4 or 5 times, right? 4 times maybe at this point.
Yeah, about 4's right.
And then we had him in the studio. Remember, right before we moved from Revere, and then I've had him up in the old studios back in the day a couple times too. So he is a dedicated fan of the show, and I can't say that more. I think he's appeared more times than Eric has in the last 3 years.
Oh yes.
And Eric always says, "Oh, I'm gonna do the show tonight." I'm gonna do the show.
Definitely in the last 2, I would say.
Yeah, sure. I think so. Cool. That went nice. Adam, what do you promoting out there? Any more potatoes coming out?
I've been editing the same video for like weeks, but yeah, people getting disgruntled, but I don't care. Check out the Whirling Potato, everybody, right behind me. If you want,
you gotta keep your subscribers. How many subscribers you getting there? You're up there?
I don't know.
You stop looking. Okay, you fucking cog. He's like, I get 1,000.
No, it's like I don't know. It's in the high 3s, I think.
Nice. There you go.
I don't know. 4. I don't know.
If you haven't subscribed,
I just don't care enough anymore.
You need the motivation, right? Where's your motivation? Where do you find it?
I do it when it's fun for me. Like,
you don't want to make it a chore. I mean,
sometimes I'm like, if I'm laying on my couch and I'm relaxed, I'm going to edit a video. I filmed it, might as well fucking keep editing. But sometimes I'm just like,
editing's a bitch. I think if I'd be a little bit putting out a lot more videos if I didn't have to fucking edit it.
I used to love editing. I kind of still do. I don't know. I go in and out of these dips of like interest and not, and like I just kind of I mean, I guess editing school. Editing is cool. I just have a fucking attention span of a fucking like a spider monkey. So like I can't like I need to like invest myself into like an edit, and if I do that, I can actually produce something nice. But like most of the time, I'm just trying to do fucking quick. I just get bored. Smoke some weed and then do that.
I do have that cookie. That will be.
Oh, there you go. Do that and then edit.
Yeah,
see, I bet you get all creative and fucking
See what happens late Friday night. I'll give you. I take a picture of the packet I got too. You can tell me if it's good or bad or not.
Yeah, you could also say fuck it and then end up going downstairs and playing with Legos for another 5 hours.
I could. The mice are back. We had 2 mice in the traps down there, so we gotta. I gotta set a couple more traps. It's that time of the year, the fall and the spring. The mice come out. I never see them in the summertime because I think they get eaten by the birds and the cats out in the wildlife. And you never see them in the wintertime because it's too cold. I don't think they make the veg. They come in the spring and the fall because I think they're hungry and they're looking for food and stuff like that. But one got trapped on a glue trap and the other one got snapped and it's a snap trap. So sucks to be them. Fucking what happens when you live in
think of Tom Green?
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch that tonight. Tom Green. I'll let you know what I think of that too as well. So thank you guys for watching 180. It's actually been fucking over a year. We're almost at 200 episodes, which is phenomenal. But we'll see you guys next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Toodaloo, motherfuckers. Bye. All right. See you later, Facebook.